Okay, there we go. Looks like didn't have audio for a minute. So what I was saying in the opening to my video was that what we are doing and trying to achieve here is a type of argumentation that essentially relies on common ground and tries to seek that out. And one method to do that is a style of argument called a Rogerian argument. And in this instance, on this chart here, you can see the difference between a classical argument that essentially is just trying to prove that you're right and that the opposition is wrong, versus a Rogerian argument that seeks common ground as its goal. So in a classical argument, the introduction is going to capture the audience's attention. It's going to introduce the issue and create what's called exigence for your claim, meaning that you establish that this is something that that we need to do, that we need to act upon urgently in some way. And then you go into a statement of background. You talk about circumstances, occurrences, conditions we need to be made aware of. You educate the audience on the topic so that they can understand your point of view. If you look at the Rogerian side, the introduction is going to state the problem you hope to resolve. You present your issue as a problem and raise the possibility of positive change. Opposing views are often going to want to solve the exact same problem. So the intro isn't going to necessarily just come out and say your position. You kind of delay that a bit. You describe the problem in more neutral terms. And then the next section in a Rogerian argument is a summary of opposing views. So you actually start with the oppositional views to what you're talking about, and then you are going to work to kind of break those down for us and describe them. You show you're capable of listening. You show that you understand their point of view. Back over to Rogerian argument, after the background, you have the proposition. You state your position or claim based on the information you've presented. You outline the major points that will follow. So you just very clearly say, this is my position. And as we saw on the Rogerian side, you haven't really stated your position yet. You're talking about their position. And you have then what's called a statement of understanding or statement of validity. You show that there are conditions under which the opposing view might be correct. And there are aspects of it you might actually agree with. Okay, so one thing about this, I mean, your topic itself has to be something where you have some flexibility in your point of view. Not that you're going to just change your mind, but that you actually really are willing to listen to opposing views. Okay, so then in a classical argument, whereas you develop the proof of your claims and describe each one as a series of supported reasons, and then or in a Rogerian argument, you're just at this point stating your position. So your statement of your position happens much earlier in a classical argument, much later in a Rogerian argument, and then your evidence is all about describing context under which your argument would be valid, and statement of benefits where someone with an opposing view would actually benefit from adopting elements of your position. Whereas in a classical argument, the end of the essay is devoted to that kind of traditional counter argument where you explain how someone is incorrect about something, and you then kind of break that down. So okay, so that's kind of the primary difference. Now, what I would say about this is that I'm not going to just lock you into one set structure. I'm not telling you for your research paper, write a Rogerian argument. It is a useful model, though, and it does speak to some things that that you need to do. To reach common ground, you have to describe the opposing view in a way that is more receptive than just saying that they're wrong. So you have to find elements of it that, if you don't agree with it, you can see where they're coming from. If I were writing an essay about affordable housing and I was under a position that, we needed stricter regulations and rent control and basically like government-based solutions to things. An opposing view would argue that we need more of a free market model on, supply and demand. If rent's too high, no one's going to rent anything and people are going to have to lower prices, and the government should kind of stay out of it. So, I could identify with the idea that someone buys real estate, they want to make a profit off of it. It's theirs, they own it. They should be able to do that. And I would be able to acknowledge that. I would respond to it and push this point further that there are elements in which government regulations actually hurt people who want to invest in real estate. And it almost, it prices the average person out of it to where just big corporate entities can go in and buy up everything. Just because of, access to capital and zoning and, lots of different things. So the common ground would be about making a more citizen-friendly housing market where, it's between individuals and kind of a more fair, like bank reform that could kind of smooth that out. So anyway, the point is that I'm not just bashing the opposing view, but I'm trying to see where they're coming from, even if ultimately I'm not going to agree with their positions. So you could try to find a kind of common ground in that way. So that's our approach. And as you start to think about your draft and structuring your research paper, I mean, this is where you need to go. You need to think about, beyond just expanding a 3 to 5 page essay, how are you going to reorganize it in order to achieve this goal of common ground. Okay, so this week, as I mentioned, you do have your annotated bibliography to work on. Once we get that done, we'll have the essay itself. And I'm receiving some word from the college about what we're going to do to replace our final exam, because we were going to take a final exam in class. Obviously, we can't do that. The testing center is very limited. They don't want us going there. So we'll have to do something else. And I will have more information on that soon. As soon as I get it, I will pass it along to you, and we will start our course prep on that. So consult my announcement for this week for links to the assignments. Reach out to me if you have any questions, and I will see you all next week.